Just do this. Okay, so our recording is started. So I'm just gonna quickly talk about a couple things with the Hub program. And then I will pass it on to Innovate Marquette, Nick and Eric here. So hi, everybody. If I didn't already introduce myself to you, my name is Alana. I'm the Small Business Resource Navigator with basically just here to connect you with resources. It's a long way of saying just here to connect you with resources. So um yeah, so if you want to actually, yeah, just click next. So once again, just getting you guys to regional, state, and national small business resources, and really here to try and help solve any problem you're having. A lot of times, how we do that is just referring you on to someone who knows the right answers, and a lot of people find that really helpful. So let's see, you can go to the next one. So there's 3 different hubs in the UP. There's one over on the west end. The green one is the Central UP Small Business Support Hub. That's the one, that's us. And then there's one over on the eastern part. So you can see the green counties are the counties that we cover and we're allowed to provide services to. So Delta is part of that. If you know other business owners, friends that you want to refer in the other green area, feel free to do so. You can go to the next one. So a couple of our partners that I just want to talk about, kind of briefly, partners and services, I guess I'll say. So one great resource that I like to tell people about is Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. They offer 2 grants every year, and if you're interested in learning more, please feel free to reach out to me. One is a little bit more related to food. The other one is more related, just general to like rural development. So those grants though are usually, I don't want to say completely set in stone, but they're usually pretty set in stone. One runs in the fall and one runs in the spring. So we can usually kind of rely on those 2 grants to be there. Another system I want to mention is Placer AI. So some of you might be already familiar with this if you've worked with the program before, but what we can do is I have access to a database where it can pull how many people have visited your business, so foot traffic. And you can take those numbers and you can compare them to like your point of sale system. So you can see how many customers that came in and then how many customers actually made sales, right? Made purchases. So super helpful. In that Placer AI system, you could compare that. Like, let's say that you bought a business and it was operating until 2022 and you bought it in 2022. We could compare your numbers to the businesses before. So super helpful with that. It can be as specific to as like, we can run like the 4th of July from 3 to 6 p.m. For 2018. I think that's as far back as we can go though. So I just wanted to, yeah, talk about those couple things. One other thing I will mention is that Michigan Economic Development Corporation, they're another partner of ours that we like to make referrals to. They have grants at times where you can apply to get like a building done. I'm not going to pretend to know the specifics of that, but what I will say is I'm happy to make a referral to that for you. So get you in touch with the right people. That's really what we're here for. Michigan SBDC, we've actually got Lance and Nicole both on. I guess Lance and Nicole, if you guys just want to say like a couple words about what it is that you guys do for small businesses, I'll let you take the reins here.
I, you want to start, Nicole, or do you want me to?
Go ahead, Lance.
Yeah, so we work really closely with Alana and the Central Business Hub. We're funded by the Small Business Administration and the MEDC that you mentioned, Alana, and we provide one-on-one business consultation. We're free, we're confidential. We work with people that are looking to buy a business, sell a business, grow a business, start a business. We hang our hat on one business consultation. So, like helping people write their business plan, run their financial forecasts, or analyze if they're in business today, analyze where they're at today from a financial perspective. We do market research. We can do some really deep market research. Like Alana, you just mentioned Placer AI, and Alana and I worked closely with a client recently on this information that she had referenced. So valuable. We can do that as well. Not the Placer AI, but in support of it, some market research. Nicole, and I won't speak for you, but she's our marketing specialist here in the UP. We cover the 15 counties of the UP, the Michigan Small Business Development Center. It's broken down into 10 regions. So Michigan Tech University is our host up here in the UP. We also have a tech team. So if you're looking to bring technology to market and get it commercialized, we've got people with PhDs, attorneys, again, free to you and confidential. Export assistance, right, Nicole? And you're one of those people that are on you're certified in the export assistance. Maybe you can talk about that, Nicole, like export training assistance and other trainings we do.
Sure. Yeah. So we are excited to be able to help small businesses grow by sending their products to other countries. And we help you research what countries make sense. We help you understand, what's involved, how to, put what information needs to go on your website, how your website performs in other countries. Um, and we also will help you figure out how much it's going to cost you to export to a particular country so that you can do the research. There's not a ton of small businesses that do that. So a lot of times we spend time with our clients just helping them grow domestically. So we do a lot for them in terms of, social media marketing, other forms of digital. We help out with e-commerce as needed, branding, all the different things that go into getting the word out. We'll do brainstorm sessions to help, especially service businesses, figure out who their target market is, and then how to best reach them. So that's an area that we do spend a lot of time with clients. But other areas, I'm not sure if Lance mentioned, but helping out with getting your accounting system set up. Also, just your general business startup stuff, getting you registered with your LLC. That's only $50, but we run into a lot of clients that will have spent more money getting an LLC because they weren't sure where to go to get registered. And people can go ahead and just register, for services at the michigansbdc.com website. And they just take it from there, assign you to a consultant, and then we just work with you from there. So thank you so much, Alana, for that great introduction and the opportunity to share what the SBDC does.
Yeah, for
One
sure.
other little plug I would just say too is and Nicole, you run all our trainings across the UP. You organize them and facilitate them. We have a wide range of trainings that are pretty much 99% of the time it's free on the subjects that Nicole just referenced. So it's such a wide range from human resources to record keeping to marketing to the legal structure set up to exporting all these uh, um, areas we're here to help you with. So
Yeah, that's such a good point, Lance. So this is an in-person training, but like he said, the SBDC has a ton of on-demand online trainings, which is nice because you can just be at home looking at those too, so kind of 8 o'clock, throw out a movie, do some bookkeeping practice. Because we all need that, right? So but yeah, thank you, Lance and Nicole, though, for saying that. So guys, once again, if you want to get in touch with them, reach out to me. I think I've been kind of passing out Nicole's business cards. I've got a few of those. So, but please, if you're interested in services, don't leave here today without having one of our emails because we pretty much all work together. So, and same with Nick and Eric. If you reach out to one of them, they can connect you over to us. We all know each other. So, okay, just a couple other things I want to mention. Michigan State University Extension, another partner we work with. They do a lot of like food licensing, but, and I shouldn't say food licensing, assistance with food licensing, so helping you understand the process. They'll help people understand their expiration dates on like canned foods, things like that, so that way you can actually get them into stores legally, right? Because there's a lot to that if you've ever been in the food realm, you know, so. We also have a program going on right now. It's called NMU Consulting. That's directly through the hub. Right now, basically what happens is if you are interested in it, we can have a team of students help you with pretty much whatever project you're trying to accomplish. So if you have like a marketing strategy you want to come up with, you would work with these students and then they would get you a whole like slide deck of kind of like a plan, a strategy. So that one's a good one for business owners that maybe you feel like a little bit stuck, or maybe you've got like this specific thing you can't overcome. That's a good one for that. But once again, the SBDC is another really great resource for kind of more that coaching, consistent coaching. Some people will just have them on their calendar once a month and they're just always, you know, brainstorming with them. So, Kendricks Bordeaux is a law firm that we have partnered with. This is something where they are willing to help people file their LLC. What I will tell you is that the SBDC also does LLC filing completely free. So just kind of, this is like, to me, like a very specific referral that I would make if you had something a little more technical. Finally, Small Business Association of Michigan, I shouldn't say finally, I'm leaving Innovate Marquette, so. Small Business Association of Michigan, SBAM. Usually we have one of their hub representatives at our meetings. He wasn't able to make it today, but his name is Jared, if any of you have ever met him before or been in touch with him. But they are like, you have to be a member. Okay, so you have to become a member. So I'm not trying to sell you a membership, but what I will say is because they are partially hub funded right now through some of their programs, a lot of their services that used to be paid are free right now. So it might be worth it, but they work with second stage businesses specifically. So I think it's over or close to, I'm not even gonna pretend to know. You need to have probably like employees and quite a bit of revenue for it to make sense for you to do anything with them. But one of the great things with them is you can buy into group health insurance plans. So that way you're not, as a small business owner, trying to get your own plan and all these things, and it can be very costly. So, finally, Innovate Marquette, who we have here with us today, and I'm gonna let them explain what they do because they're our guest speaker. So you can go to the next one. This one, yep, this is you guys. So, all right, yeah. This is Nick and your speaker.
Thank you, Rana. Hi, everybody. I'm Nick. I'm a project manager with Innovate Marquette Smart Zone. I'm a graduate at Northern Michigan University, studied biology, environmental science, and found my way into the economic development space. Never know. So working with some of the projects at Innovate with my school expertise as a student, kind of worked my way up into project management. And now, so with our team, we work with high-tech businesses in the central UP. So those hub regions that Alana pointed out, that central region is kind of our area. On the, you can go ahead, Eric. On the west side, there's MTech Smart Zone, and on the east side, there's Headwaters North. So there's 3 smart zones in the UP. We'll get into more detail on the actual program soon. But what we do as a smart zone is, like I said, focused on high-tech scalable businesses. And that is defined by the state of Michigan in multiple industry sectors, but typically around agriculture or manufacturing, transportation is a big one, aerospace. So kind of those sectors that involve a lot of emerging technology or developing emerging technologies themselves. So we'll get into some examples of companies that we work with further in the presentation, but kind of that is where our focus lies. And if you come to us with, you know, we're always willing to help, and we can point and direct to whatever other services are available, whether that's the hub or the SBDC or Marquette LSCP. There's multiple different organizations that kind of have their own niches depending on where you're at. So ours is in the high tech space. And so our goal is to provide resources to the community Marquette and then throughout the central UP region, hoping to grow the tech ecosystem and everything that comes along with that, software development, all the different service providers that may be involved in launching a tech company and attracting talent to the region, hoping to, bring money, all the things that come along with that. So some of our core values, really focus on innovation. That's really what we do, is what's the next big thing? How can we capitalize on that big thing? And, what we can do to also bring up the rest of the community around us. So the Michigan Smart Zone system, there is currently 21 smart zones in the state of Michigan. We are one of them. Like I mentioned, there's 3 in the UP, kind of a west, central, east. And then downstate, there is quite a few. So here you can see a map. A lot of them are central to South Michigan, Detroit area, Grand Rapids, Lansing, that kind of thing. So we are very unique in terms of the 3 in the UP. We're much more rural than a lot of the other resources available. And so because of that, we get to work with all sorts of different companies. A lot of smart zones will have a specialty, not all of them, but a lot of them will have a specialty. Like Centropolis Smart Zone is really focused on advanced manufacturing and, what's the next stage of robotics and things like that. Headwaters North Sioux is all about water technology, cleaning water, tracking water, anything to do with water is their specialty. You go ahead, Eric. And then I guess I'll touch on our specialty now. But we can get into more detail later. Ours is outdoor recreation, environmental science, and creative technology. And so we focus on those projects, and we may take on a project from around the state that falls into those buckets. But that doesn't mean we can't work outside of those as well. So really, the biggest thing with working with us is that you fall under that high-tech definition. Our funding, a lot of it comes from the MEDC, along with the city of Marquette and grants that we apply for, either with the city on our own as an incubator. So a pretty diverse funding source, which makes it so, as things evolve and change in the political climate or the funding climate, we can kind of be adaptive to whatever that entails. So when you come to us, our services start with what we call our innovation journey. And because of our outdoor rec specialty, we call them trailheads. So there's 5 trailheads that you'll go through, very kind of cookie cutter. And that is all the planning phase. So here's a graphic explaining the trailheads, and we can get into more detail with questions or anything that you have after this. But we really like to walk everybody kind of through the same path to make sure all the planning is done at the right stages. So things like customer discovery, making sure that there's actually a market out there for your product is something that's often overlooked, but very important. And then going into working with Eric in our Protolab. If it's a hardware product, we can do things like prototyping. If it's software, we can help wireframe and map out kind of the software before you have to go spend tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars doing software development. Really just honing in on what is your market and what features does your market want to see. We find a lot of times like people have brilliant ideas and they get stuck on these brilliant ideas without asking the question of like, is this something someone would actually pay for? And being able to see, well, they wouldn't pay for exactly this, but they'll pay for this piece, or they'll pay if I tweak it just enough. So that's really what this trailhead process is for, is getting prepared for commercialization and investment. So starts with submitting an idea called a Quick Explore. Anybody and all are welcome to submit an idea with us. Myself or one of my team will meet with you, run through 30 minutes or so of questions. Really, it's more information gathering for us so we can understand what we're working on. And then from there, we either, if we determine it's high tech and that we can help you, we can invite you in as a client, or we'll make a referral to one of the other wonderful organizations that I mentioned before, who are more equipped to help with other small businesses, brick and mortar shops, that kind of thing. A lot of our services we're willing to help with. If you're not high tech, you do unfortunately have to pay your way on an hourly basis with us. So that's why we like to refer out to other organizations, because a lot of those services are offered for free by the hub or LSCP or the SBDC that we mentioned. So like I mentioned before, outdoor innovation, sustainable technology, and creative technology are our focus areas, but we will assist with anything in the tech space. So, and I kind of went through early stage, and after you graduate, you do all the planning, you do all the preparation, you're ready to go. You go into what we call advanced services, or safe harbors, to stay with our theme. Once you get to this point, we have a few different mechanisms and state funding and things that we can kind of utilize to assist in early needs, whether that's legal, marketing, patenting. Our limit is that we can't pay for anything that's considered an asset by the company. So I guess a good example of that would be for a patent is we can pay for attorney time. You don't own attorney time as your company. We can help support that. We can't pay for the filing of the patent because you will own that. It'll be an asset the company owns. So we are limited a little bit in kind of what we can do. We try to work around that as best as possible. And really just kind of make things move forward however we can. So like I mentioned, these are our focus areas. So outdoor innovation, you know, the UP is known for its outdoor recreation opportunities. And with that comes new technologies, new ways to experience the outdoors. And so a big thing, as many of you have probably noticed, is the electrification of outdoor vehicles. Things like e-bikes, snowmobiles, boats, they're all becoming electric. And with that becomes its own challenges, you know, charging at trailheads and things like that. So we work with companies who are developing these new technologies to do it in a sustainable way, and also to, you know, provide them a place to test or provide them a place to come up. We worked with an automotive company that wanted to test new outdoor tires. So we set them up with a testing site where they could do that. Things like that, where we're trying to support and grow. And we believe that's a technology that can really thrive up here as an industry. So for examples, and again, you know, not all of the things that all the companies we work with are high tech. On the far right there, you see hitch hatchet. It was Brian invented a wedge that goes into trailer hitch and allows you to split kindling wherever you are, as long as you have your truck or car with you. So that's like a low tech example of the outdoor space. And then on the left is Electric Outdoors. They're actually a company out of the Detroit area who invented a completely self-sustaining camping unit that can be dropped anywhere. It's roughly the size of a shipping container, so it's big, but it makes its own water from the air, as a incinerating toilet, and solar power. So it can really, you could drop it anywhere in the world and it can sustain itself. So we help them get and are securing a pilot test site out in Ghani, where they're hoping to open their second campground. And so to have like 6 or 7 units out there. So while we weren't directly involved with the development of the technology, they were looking for a spot up here. So we were able to kind of assist in that way too. Sustainable tech, right alongside with outdoor recreation and things is focusing on how to make the world more sustainable. And one way to do that is use technology. A lot of times technology gets a bad rap, and sometimes rightly so, for ruining the places that we love or using too many resources, things. So looking at technologies that can either help other technologies be more sustainable or provide another benefit. So this is Myconaut. They currently have a lab in our basement. They are looking at mycelium and different mushrooms and how to remediate PFAS from ground soil and groundwater using mushrooms. And so that is the example of sustainable technology that we've worked with for, Eric, longer than I've been there.
Yeah,
sure,
they were
years.
the first.
They were one of the first. So they've been around a long time. They have a full lab in our basement. And they've worked in the local area along with downstate, some farms in Ann Arbor and things. And so they're developing these technologies to really remove whatever poison from the soil is there. They can do it with mushrooms. So that's a good example of sustainable tech. And then creative tech is one that we're still building out quite a bit. The definition was something that we didn't really know how to wrap our heads around. So an early example of this was Revan Games. It was a game studio. An inventor in Marquette had a idea for a new video game, new mechanics, things like that. So that kind of fell in our creative tech bucket. Something in this space that I can't talk about too much because it's early. We've had talks with the NMU theater department to develop new technology to put on shows, plays, music, that kind of thing. So that also falls within our budget, and we're hoping, if we do this again in a year or something, hopefully we'll have a couple more things partnered with NNU, the feeder department there. So some of our clients, I mentioned some of these already, but some of these are further along. We have some really, really great projects right now that I can't quite touch on yet because they're still early stage and don't want to, ruin their chances for patenting and things. But Syncurrent, Drew and Matthew, graduates, Drew was a graduate of Northern Michigan, and he convinced Matthew to move up here from Chicago with one phone call, which I thought was impressive. And they developed an AI tool that writes grants for municipalities. So you put in your municipal information, whether you're a town of 100 or a major city, and it will kind of tell it what you're looking for, and it will give you a suggestion of all the grants that you qualify for. And then eventually they're still working on building it, but it's starting to be able to write it for you. And so for small municipalities that may not have the money to pay a grant writer or the people with the skills or the time really to write grants, it can be a huge change. So you can turn around a grant in a day instead of a month, and $20,000 for a small community can make all the difference. They currently are partnered with the Department of Interior, so they work with all the tribal nations in the United States, and are working to work with as many municipalities as they can. So it's a really great example along with OSNAP, which I'll touch on, where you use an AI tool to really find a niche and kind of hone in on one specific problem that you can fix very easily. And so OSNAP, Gretchen and Weil, Gretchen's a nurse and Dr. Weil Cooley is a surgeon at Marquette General. They realized that the majority of insurance claims that they put out get denied by the insurance company. And kind of a similar thing to grant writing is it would fall on a senior nurse typically to write an appeal letter. These appeal letters have a 75% success rate, but most hospitals either don't have the time because you have to spare a head nurse to write an appeal letter when they could be doing others, or you just don't have the staffing in general. So they also developed an AI tool that will turn those appeal letters around immediately. You just need a human in the loop to read it and you can submit it. So it's things like that save time, help out patients, and they can get up to a 75 to 80% success rate on that. So again, like real narrow AI application that's new and emerging and can really make a difference in people's lives. I touched on Myconaut already. SwimSmart, kind of into the outdoor rec space, invented a beachfront safety tower. So this replaces the flag system you'll see on a lot of beaches. Jake, the founder, realized that, well, I guess it was 2023 when he thought this, not 2026, but 2023, why are we still having some high schooler run out to the beach and put the red flag up when it gets too bad, when we can do it automatically? So he uses NOAA data and other Great Lakes data for these towers, while providing, a life ring and emergency services. They will change based on the weather and just alert people if the beach is not safe. Invivis Technologies, Justin had a bout with really severe mold related illness. So he invented a platform that allows people to test or look at the mold in rentals like Airbnbs and hotels. So if you're someone that has high sensitivity to things like mold or dust or things like that, it kind of works as a mapping tool for that. If you've ever heard of Seed Oil Scout, looking at seed oils in restaurants, very similar, just focused on mold. And then a more recent one, Jennifer Gordon from Quickie Tech. She's a licensed sex therapist in the UP, and she realized that couples were having a hard time finding new things to do together. So she invented Quickie, which is quick 10, 15-minute prompts to get you more engaged with your spouse, while also providing different ideas to do on date night. So really, I just like to highlight that as a really wide range of technology, right? Technology can be so many different things, so many different industries, and we try to work with as many as possible. So I'll pass it over to Eric. He's more of our hardware Protolab guy. He'll play all about it.
Cool. Thank you, Nick. I'm Eric Crew. I'm the design manager at Innovate Marquette. A little bit about me. I am originally from New Hampshire. I came up to Northern in 2017. I fell in love with it, and never going back. I'm currently trying to buy a house in Marquette. Just love it up there. And yeah, I'm at the same time I'm able to find a job that I like. So what we're able to do is we're just gonna go through some of the more hard tech clients, that we've been able to work on, with the 3D printing technologies. So the Protolab was made possible by the USDA. We applied for a grant, back in 2023, and we were one of 3, communities within the country, to get it. So, thank you to the USDA for, making it possible. We were able to, obtain some 3D printing technologies, 3D scanning technologies, laser cutting, as well. And we've been able to use these, machines, and technologies to help, create better prototypes and products for us. So getting into some of the, again, very kind of wide range of, products and things that we've done. This is one of our bigger projects, we were able to do with the city of Negaunee. They were up for a Community Excellence Award, last year, and due to all their new, parks that they've created. So what we've done is created a full, 3x5, scale model of their town. And we've been able to 3D print actually everything you see there except for the stand. So being able to create, again, this display model that we actually brought down to Grand Rapids, to the show. And they did win, because of the display, which was really cool. So if you're interested in seeing the model and you want to go to Negaunee, it's in this, somewhere. Some more of the clients that we've worked on in-house would be a great example of Steamflex. So he was actually one of our first projects through the door about 10 years ago. His name is Chris Matthews. He owns a log home. I don't know if people are familiar with log homes and the maintenance that you have to do on the interiors of them. Obviously, the logs collect a lot of dust, and it creates a lot of dirty surfaces, and it's really hard to clean using harsh chemicals, things like that, rags. So he had an idea to come up with the ability to use steam to actually clean these logs. So I like to call it the Swiffer Sweeper, but for your walls. So what this device does is distribute steam off of regular steam you can buy at the store, and actually flexes depending on what size logs that you are cleaning. The cool thing about this one is, like I said, he was the first one through our door, and we did have some, 3D printing technologies at the time, but it just couldn't, we couldn't produce the product or the solution that we wanted. And then again, we were able to get that USDA RISE grant, and we were able to buy some resin 3D printers. So the prototype that we produced there can withstand the high temperatures of steam. And we were able to validate the idea. And we're actually, the client is working on a licensing deal with Dimer Industries, which is a distributor of steamers throughout the country, and then the manufacturer is actually based out of Italy. So a great kind of a success story. Again, an individual that had an idea, and we were able to bring to life. Another one, great example, a gentleman out of Gwynn. He's a retired teacher. He taught in Alaska for 30 years of archery and different kinds of machinery, things like that. But he developed this device, which is called the Relax Release. And what this device does, I don't know if we have any bow hunters in the crowd, but if you're familiar with bow hunting, you have a release that you put on the bowstring and when you pull back, and usually that device has a trigger or some kind of mechanism that you have to press. But Brian was, he's a seasoned veteran, and he's been, he was having issues with target panic, really pulling the trigger when A, there was an animal in front of him when he was hunting, or B, when he was trying to shoot for competitions. So he came up with this new idea where rather than you, again, creating a tense moment by pulling the trigger or pushing a button, you actually relax your muscles in your arm. So we've been able to, Brian was actually, he was making them out of his shop that he has with some of his tools, and he brought it to us, and we've been able to actually 3D print it at a mass scale of carbon fiber. So he's actually 3D printing or selling these right now. And we're working with Centropolis downstate to do some design for manufacturing, and hopefully do his first production on the site. Another great success story that we've been able to use with the technologies we have is Solar Shields. One of our clients has a bone anchored hearing aid. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but it's a hearing aid that actually sticks outside of your head. And so what happens when you wear hats is there's pressure on it and it interferes with the microphone. So people that do have these hearing aids cannot wear hats. And so she and our team came up with this device. It's a very simple cage that just sits around the device of the hearing aid, and the pressure of the hat sits on that cage. I for one didn't take wearing hats for granted, but being able to provide a very simple solution to a really wide variety of people. It's been really great. These people are being able to wear hats for the first time. And she's from throughout the country and then also right now. So we printed about 500 of these for her right now. And we're looking to doing some tooling. She's a great example of using our technologies and 3D printing as kind of a bridge. So 3D printing for a really long time, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, was really a hobby. And the technology has gotten really great over the last couple of years, really a lot more advanced and produce a lot higher quality product. And so we're using 3D printing in a new way, like I said, bridging the gap between, again, a prototype, it may not work, a little bit of function to something that you can go and sell. Again, like I said, we were able to print around 500 of these at a pretty relatively easy cost. And then the client can justify, okay, I've sold 500, I have a market, let's go to injection molding where it can cost up to 25 to 50,000. So 3D printing is really great in that sense. And like I said, the technology's gotten really good over the last couple of years. Another kind of initiative that we've been able to start this past year was we partnered with Northern Michigan University's engineering technology, and they do a capstone every year. And we were actually able to provide 2 projects with them. And the idea is to continue to develop some real world knowledge into these students while they're students. So we'll talk about the Invent MU program, but being able to work in the industry while you're a student is really important. And so we were able to partner with a couple of these companies. One in particular is Jackrabbit on the right there. So they have this micro e-bike that's mainly for camping, things like that. And a couple of years ago, I came up with the idea to, what if you swapped out the front tire for a ski and a rear, swapped out the rear tire for a tread. So we were actually able to partner with the company Jackrabbit. They're actually based out of San Diego in California. They actually shipped over some bikes, some materials, and we were able to develop this kind of kit version of this ski bike. And right now we're actually, again, the students, did the work and kind of the grunt work, developed this project, and now we're working with Jackrabbit to create a, full manufacturing pipeline, and hopefully we'll be able to do it. So we'll get into some of the ecosystem partners here. One of the things that I like to say a lot is, if you come through our doors and we might not be able to help you, we'll definitely find someone who can. We have a lot of connections or a lot of spaces across the whole state with all 21 smart zones. So, we may talk a little bit big or low here. I encourage you guys to reach out to us, because if we don't know what we know, someone knows. The cool thing about Innovate and us being in the UP or in Marquette is we have a downtown office right on Front Street in Washington, which is called the Coffin Block. And so we partnered with Lake Superior LSCP, InvestUP, and then Northern, as well as Northern Initiatives. So, again, if you come to our doors physically and say, hey, we have these, things that we need, again, we can also just refer you right across the hall, which is really great. And then some, again, additional partners that we've kind of talked about. Okay.
Along with the hub.
Yeah.
Yes. That's us.
Yeah, that's good.
So along with Innovate Marquette, we also have a couple other grants that we'll talk about. One is the Invent MU program that actually Nick and I are both alumni of, and we've had a lot of students be successful with that program. And then the other one is Make Marquette about bringing more talent to the region. So Invent MU is really our strategic kind of programming for working with students at Northern. So like I said, I was a Invent MU alum, Nick as well. We also have a couple people on our team that are as well. So I was, like I said, I came up to Northern in 2017. I actually got hired at Invent MU in 2020. And then I got hired full time when I graduated in 2022. The beauty about Invent MU, like I said, is really building skills as students, continue to be students, but again, they're working on real world projects. So that SteamFlex product that I was talking about, that log home cleaner, that was one of the first projects that I ever worked on, again, as a student. And so being able to again, have that real world experience while I'm continuing to go through classes, things like that, really set me up for, success after I graduated. And again, the cool thing about Invent MU, next one, is it's not just, product design or engineers or whatever it is. Nick was a project manager for a specific company. The nice thing about, again, we have a really close relationship with Northern. So you need a certain individual in a certain field. we can turn to Northern and say, hey, we need a computer science major, we need a, sustainability student, things like that. We can just, kind of plug and play students where, it makes sense. Then making Marquette, being able to, obviously COVID hit and a lot of people moved up to the region and, kind of developing, kind of a community first, inclusive kind of space for people to come up, and, feel welcome, whether it be, whether they be from New Hampshire or not. But yeah, just kind of building on the success that we've had with being rural and being close to the lake and being just in such a beautiful place. So. And then we'll just get into some of the events that we've done in the past and continue to do. One of our biggest events that we do every year is Peak. So it's a 2-day conference, and we're, each year's kind of a little bit has a different theme. But last year, or like a couple months ago, we were able to do again a really big partnership with NMU and Sistu Institute. So we're able to bring up a lot of people from downstate to do specific talks, things like that. We had a professor from the College of Creative Studies do a design thinking design jam. We were able to do actually a makerspace, Makers Fair with Protolab. It's really kind of a great place for people to, again, come and learn about what we do, but also meet other people that are in the community that are our clients or if you're not. So. And then another big event that we throw is Women in Entrepreneurship. It's been really growing, which is really great to see. But yeah, again, just focusing on certain demographics and getting people voice to be heard. So we do again, it's a big true conference, Women in Entrepreneurship, excuse me. But they also do a lot of like kind of here and there conversations. So having conversations, they've done a couple of them, and I think there's some more coming up. But again, it's just obviously Nick and I are here. Nick's the services side. I'm kind of the hard tech side. We also have a full events team and marketing team that can help out. But
yeah, and as of now, those events centered around the Marquette area. But as it expands and as interest is shown and things like that, we can talk to our team about doing them around the UP too.
Yeah, and that's something like not just like women entrepreneurship, but other events. One of the things that we're doing a lot of recently is especially with the lab or Protolab is doing a lot of K through 12 outreach. So we've actually last week we did 3 different events, bringing again the technologies into the classroom, or actually students coming to our facility and doing programming, thinking like a designer, things like that. So again, right now we're in the Marquette area doing that. But looking to partner with other people.
I do have a really quick question. So for the prototype lab, is anyone from the UP able to use that, or is that more just the?
No, it's open to everyone. So for when we did get the USDA RISE grant, it was kind of specifically you had to be our IMPT client, but we've been able to kind of open it up to everyone. So we've had clients from all over. It doesn't really matter what the idea is. Like right now I'm printing, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Diggs up there in Marquette. I'm printing, they're gonna start a Diggs freight club. So we've created these milk crates that your beer sits in, that's a koozie. So we're printing, those. So really again, the nice thing about 3D printing, there's the possibilities are kind of endless a little bit. So obviously we work on, physical products, things like that. But, if you need, specific signs, we also, like I said, we have laser cutting. But little niche things, we can print that. So it is open to.
Yeah, amazing.
To try and keep it as cost effective as possible.
Yeah.
There is, if you're coming in, like I've had Eric make like some hooks for my office, stuff like that, where like it's trying to keep it as close to material cost as possible. So even if it's not a idea that you're building or a prototype that you need, if you just need like some trinkets or trophies is another big one.
Yeah.
We'll do trophies for events, for other things. Really anything can be made. Like he's making some fidgets for my girlfriend's classroom right now. Whatever needs to be done. That 3D printing has really come a long way in terms of what it can do.
Yeah, and I have a whole other presentation that I can do on just the lab. So if you have any questions, please check.
Sorry, do you have a pricing schedule?
Say that again?
Do you have a pricing schedule?
Yeah, I can share it with you.
Any other questions before we move on anything?
I guess we should.
Okay.
Yeah, just some of the other events that we do. I think one of the big things that we haven't mentioned yet would be the Founders Network events. I think, do you know, Nick, what isn't there like it's like run by a certain organization, it's like Founders something. Yeah, they do it like once a year, twice a year, you can get more information, but again, it's a space for all founders to come together, talk about what they're going through, things like that. And yeah, we're constantly, adapting and what the community wants. Again, we're here to serve you guys. And if there's something that you guys need, that's, what we want to do. So we're open to any suggestions on specific events, whether that be, anything. So like I said, we're here to serve you guys.
We've also started a webinar series going over a lot of the questions and problems that entrepreneurs and founders run into. So we've done a few of those now, but we're trying to ramp that up this summer.
Yeah, so and the one we've done, or a couple of them we've done, one of them was about patenting. So, being able to sit in, talk to one of our attorneys, our lawyers about patenting and answering questions is really great. And I think we're making that like public, aren't we?
That's the plan.
Yeah. So
They're not quite yet, but they.
Yeah, so it'll be again, like, if you have patent questions or you want to sit on that, you just go to our website. So yeah, obviously we just threw a bunch of information at you. So we're happy to answer any questions or talk after. But like I said, we're, Innovate Marquette, we're just here to serve, the people. So whatever we can to do that makes us happy. So thank you so much for our time.
Thanks.
I guess I should add to our services, when we put money towards, like I mentioned, we pay for things. We operate on what we call a success fee. So we don't take any equity or anything like that in your company. We ask that if we were to put money into, say like we pay for $20,000 worth of marketing services. We ask that if you reach a certain point and you are comfortable making revenue and things like that, that you donate that money back to us, just so we can help the next way. We don't, Eric and I don't benefit or anything from that. We don't take any equity. And so really that's kind of how we operate. And that way, if like state funding goes away tomorrow, or grant funding goes away tomorrow, we have a pool of money from hopefully like the more successful companies that we can help with, the more money we get back. So that's kind of how our funding works. So it's completely non-dilutive to founders.
And that's really clear on, right, from my understanding, like.
Yes, I try. I try.
And that brings up a good point that most of these resources are free. Like, I can't speak completely for you guys, but like the hub, the SBDC, it's really meant to be just free and confidential help. And it's like Nick and Eric both talked about, like, if we can't help you, we'll get you connected with the next person that's kind of you need to be with, because we're all connected with each other.
Right.
We all know each other. We all attend the same lecture events and everything. So,
and if there's a service that we charge for, but I know you would qualify for free SBD help, like we will send you that.
Yep.
We're not out to get anybody and things like that. So we try and just be as helpful as possible.
Well, thank you guys for the presentation. Yeah, if you guys have questions, I know, like, I think for some of us, like, you might be thinking like, how can I apply this, right? But I think just the more resources and knowledge you have, all of a sudden you're gonna think, oh, I know so-and-so, or, oh, this one resource might be great. I think especially for young people and students, like, it's a great opportunity. Do you guys, just a question, do you guys do a lot of field trips? Do a lot of kids?
Yeah, they look at, especially with the.
Yeah.
We did a whole programming in Ireland on Thursday last week.
Oh, that's amazing.
3 weeks.
Yeah,
Kids coming in here.
yeah, so cool. And I think the 3D printing is kind of the future a little bit.
Yeah, well, the way I describe it, again, like I said, I could do a whole talk on it, but, you're not gonna go to the store and buy something. I broke my TV stand when I was moving and I just designed and printed a new one. Being able to, we live in obviously a pretty consumerism day and age, and so being able to, the 3D printer kind of gives, the power back to it a little bit. So again, you're in control of what you own, and so.
What's the company that started releasing those files? Is it July?
Yeah, so it's a great example. And I think we'll probably see a lot more of this is in the weeds a little bit with 3D printing, but Philips razors, they actually released all the CAD files of their guards. So you can completely 3D print them. And for someone that owns a 3D printer, I immediately bought, I needed a new razor. I went to Philips because now I can just buy the guards when it breaks or I lose one. So, you know, that ability to use the technology, again, it's pretty, the printers these days are pretty cost effective. Also, you don't have to have a, you know, a pretty big educational background. My father is 75 years old and he prints trains all day. All you have to do is print a button or press a button these days. So, it's a pretty great, again, resource, and again, we have it here in Louisville, which is pretty great, and we're trying to expand it all the time soon.
It's amazing. So any last questions? Anything? All right, well, we'll wrap it up there. Then there's lots of pizza. And please get to know each other. Great networking opportunity. We never know who you're gonna meet here. You know, get to know us. We're here to help you guys. So, right, yeah.
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Yeah, we got business cards here.
Business cards, if you
Yeah.
wanna talk one-on-one with either one of
Yes.
us, absolutely, we'll be hanging around for a little while, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lance.
Great presentation, guys. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Thanks, Nicole, have a good one.
I'm pretty. Yeah. Potentially, Oh, Sarah, really?